Welcome to Black Book TV, where we spotlight Houston's best Black-owned businesses.
I just want to see black businesses do well. That's it.
Yeah.
Because you basically telling them, like, I'm necessary.
You are.
One thing about God, he will give you the vision.
What's up, Black Bookers, and welcome to another episode of Black Book TV, where we highlight the most phenomenal, amazing entrepreneurs, business leaders, community impact phenomenons, philanthropists, all of that good stuff. Today, we have a very special guest. I'm super excited about getting into this young change maker's journey from transforming at-risk youth lives to starting his own nonprofit organization at such a young age and just doing very, very impactful work. He launched a Young Billionaires Club, introducing the Universal Basic Income Program, and even opening the YBC Thrift Store. This organization is all about equipping youth with the skills and resources to break barriers and build a brighter future. So without further ado, let's get right into it. I'm here with my man, Sebastian Sanders.
Yes, sir.
Man, how's it going?
It's going good, man. It's a blessing to be here. I'm just very excited to have this conversation today.
Cool, man. Cool. So, man, what inspired you to start the Sanders Hand? I know you guys started in 2017. You was in your dorm room.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did that idea come about? And, kind of tell us about that.
I always tell people it all started from me attempting a rap career. And so when I was a sophomore at the time, it's like 2016, Lil Uzi and Lil Yachty's blowing up on SoundCloud. And so naturally, as a young black male, you want to try the same thing. And so attempted that. And I kid you not, it didn't go as I planned, right? I recorded my first song, produced the first song, got in the car with my homies, went to a party. Everybody's like, man, that song sucked. Turn that off. Crushed my little dreams at the time, but ultimately, I always tell people you feel your way to success. And so me going through that phase is how I discovered my voice, knowing that I had a talent. God gave me a voice, but maybe not to be a rapper. Maybe you need to go use it to inspire or be a speaker. And so 2 weeks after that, I got into the nonprofit work and I went to my career counselor. I'm a sophomore at the time, and we're talking about, hey, what do you want to be in the next 2 years after you graduate? I graduated with my bachelor's in business management, so I was trying to figure out how can I prepare myself to look good to get an internship or get a job.
Right.
And so she challenged me to figure out, what are your passions? And so I love business. I love community. How do I cultivate those? So I called my dad as soon as I got home. I said, hey, Dad, I want to do a backpack drive. Coming out of A-Leaf, I want to go back and give the kids backpacks. My dad told me just like this, son, anybody can give out a backpack. Where you come from, those kids need more than a backpack. And it challenged me, and it made me go back to my middle school days when I used to be in middle school, and I got to go home and be a kid, have fun, and play video games and play outside. But some of my classmates, they didn't have that luxury. They had to go home and work at 12 years old and do certain things. And then you start to think about poverty and think about the different things that go on in the community. A lot of that is a lack of financial knowledge, lack of financial resources. And when you look at black and brown communities, how can we preserve the youth and change? And that's what inspired me to start an organization to create change.
Got you. And you kind of hit on something that's like extremely important, especially in our community, right? Is that financial literacy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's like one of the things that, your organization focuses on. Can you like dive deeper into like what specifically made you decide like, hey, this is the demographic that I'm gonna focus on as far as like at-risk youth and making sure that they have that financial literacy, as well as all the other great things that you all are doing?
Yeah, so Sanders Sand is a 501c3 that has a business incubator called the Young Billionaires Club program. And this is a program designed to teach students ages 12 to 25, business and financial literacy training. And so what we do is we provide a comprehensive program where our kids learn marketing, entrepreneurship, financial literacy, supply chain, customer service, graduate out of the program with an ability to participate in a pitch competition for universal basic income, or they can go work at the Young Billionaires Club thrift store for on-the-job training. And so ultimately, we didn't really have this design until 2021. Okay. A lot of people thought when we first started, I had it all together. I didn't. What we were trying to do is how can we send more kids to college? But then you realize my success story of college doesn't mean the same for every kid that I come across. Some kids are better designed to go into the workforce, pick up a trade, or go in and go to the military. And so for us, 2021, the pandemic had hit and programming had changed for us because I had moved to Oklahoma City, started my professional career with Pepsi. My whole team had pretty much dissolved and graduated and moved on with their lives. And I started to see a change in economy and especially in the society with kids. Every time I get booked to go speak, all kids want to know is how do I make money? How do I become rich? And then you start to hear their plans to become rich. They don't necessarily have a plan. They just taking what they see off social media and they're hoping that it plans out that way. And so that's when I went in and got the inspiration, said we need something for the kids by the kids. So that's when we created the Young Billionaires Club program, but I took a training with Crystal Chanel. She showed me how to design an actual program and a curriculum, and that's when everything was rebranded into what it is today in 2021.
Got you, man. That's so awesome. And then you said everything kind of got rebranded and structured in 2021.
Mhm.
I know the pandemic hit in 2020.
Yeah.
How did that affect your organization, and how did you overcome like some of those challenges that you faced during that time?
It was very tough because I was in a whole nother state. And
Mhm.
so everything that I had, resources, network, and my comfortability was back home in Texas. So when I moved to Oklahoma City, I didn't really do much programming. I done virtual engagements here and there, but I just didn't have any infrastructure at the time. So for the pandemic for us, we basically was just giving out money. So we got, some grants from a few bank partners, and we gave out money, did a HBCU scholarship and all of that. But ultimately, those 2 years of the pandemic sidelined us, and it helped us create a whole new idea and a vision.
Mhm.
Because ultimately, we had so much passion in the beginning, we just didn't have a sense of direction.
Got you.
And that as a nonprofit, especially as Black nonprofit leaders, we phase out because we don't know how to put an infrastructure together to go out and get funding. And I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Because I knew there was kids that I haven't even serviced yet that are waiting on for me to change their lives. And so that's when we went in and created the vision. So the pandemic for us, it allowed me to see the future of education and the future of how you can program and change. And that's when we started to redesign everything.
Got you. Got you. So right now, are you just servicing a certain area of Houston, or are you servicing like all of Houston?
All of Houston.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all of Houston. We're vendors with HISD, Alief ISD, Fort Bend ISD, Harris County Department of Education. And we are now a statewide Texas education, under the Texas Education Agency, a new CTSO. So
Gotcha.
similar with the FBLA, DECA, and FFA, that's why our organization is now under the TEA.
Got you. So the Young Billionaires Club, you hit on like, how you're basically equipping these, youth
Mhm.
with these different tools to help them, become successful.
Mhm.
One of the things that I like about what you're doing is I tell people all the time, my background is civil engineering. I'm not even doing civil engineering right now,
Mhm.
right? I do feel like college helped me, and it helped propel me into like where I'm at today.
Mhm.
But like you said, that's not everybody's journey.
Yeah.
So like, what are some of the things that you do for kids? Like, are there any, I should say, like requirements, right?
Mhm.
For a student to be able to qualify for your program, or do you accept anybody?
So we ultimately accept any type of kid.
Mhm.
Only thing I challenge my kids and parents is be willing to learn and just be here.
Gotcha.
Because there's thousands of kids who want to be here in this program, but you're here. So I just always say just come with an open mind and open heart. But there are no specific hard requirements. Our demographic is at-risk kids. We come from impoverished communities, so that's the kids we try to serve first. But ultimately, every kid needs servicing, so we don't have any hard requirements.
No, I like that. That's cool. One of the other barriers that I've seen other organizations face, especially when they're going into the school districts, is HISD changing its leadership
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Mm.
Is there anything that you want to say publicly, or on how you've been able to overcome that, or some of the things that you've been seeing with HISD, and just I don't know, maybe even some ways they could possibly
Yeah.
improve?
I think overall, it's always going to be a barrier of communication and outreach with the districts because personnel changes year by year. That counselor, that principal that we have a partnership with, they may be gone within a year or two.
Yeah.
And so I always tell people, you have to start from the top and go down. And in the beginning, we started to work with all of the teachers, and we were getting inside of the classrooms, but it wasn't going anywhere. We would only do a classroom here and there, right? There was really no long-term stability with that. And for me, I'm always about sustainability. So my first job out of college was with Pepsi, Fortune 50 company, $1 billion corporation. And that we were in 2020 planning for 2025 at the time. And that made me look at my business from a whole different perspective because I'm planning for the now, not even planning for the future. So how can I even grow the business if I don't even know what my future looks like?
Right.
So for us, we try to secure vendor partnerships, legal contracts that are binding contracts with the districts, because you have more of a business cloud going into the deal saying, hey, we're already a certified vendor, this is what we have, versus going in a classroom and you're just building a partnership, but you don't know where that's going. And that's also most of the times you're doing pro bono work. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you want to get to a point to where your organization is self-funded and self-sufficient. And so that's what we work towards. And so for me, I always look at how can we get the legal stuff done first, because that's going to open up way more doors for us.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Can y'all believe this dude is only 28 years old?
27.
Oh, 27. Oh, my bad. Look, I gave you an extra year.
Yeah.
Nah, man, it's just cool to be in the presence of your greatness. One of the other things that I've seen you doing is the UBI program. Can you kind of talk about what the UBI program consists of, and kind of like some of the impacts that you've been seeing with that?
Yeah, so that was something we started last year. So I read this book called Give People Money, and it talks about a UBI that was piloted, I believe it was in Africa, and it was given from, I think, a gas company or something like that. And so I read the book and I was immediately inspired because I'm like, okay, the biggest thing with our program is financial literacy, but we also give kids an opportunity to get the money that they need. And that's the same thing for adults. You know, working with business owners, the one of the two reasons why we phase out is we don't have access to capital.
Yes.
And that's the same thing for our kids, right? And so my thing is I don't want to give them all this education and they walk away from the program and they're not able to apply it. So that's why we have the thrift store and that's why we have funding opportunities. Because a kid can have $1 million idea. They can just sit on it for 10, 15 years because they don't have no money. And they grow up and then they end up, forgetting about the idea. So for us, the UBI is a universal basic income, looking at what the average income can be for a child or for a family. And when we do our program, sometimes we may do a family program or a student program. We allow our kids to come in and say, okay, at the end of this program, you're going to walk away with $500 to invest back into your business, right? And so that's what the UBI is. It's a new initiative and we're still trying to work it out. To be quite honest, I'm not sure if this is something that we'll continue doing long term.
Gotcha.
As an executive director, I try to make decisions that make the most sense for the organization and the program. And so if we can build it out for it where it's sustainable and we have more families involved, then of course we'll keep it. But it's one of those things where we're just piloting just to see where it goes. And if we get the funding for it and the backing for it, we'll definitely keep it around. But for the most part, it's really exposing our kids to funding opportunities.
That's dope. And then I like how you also incorporated like for them to be able to get jobs at the YBC thrift store. Can you talk more about the YBC thrift store, the impact that it's having? What are you seeing in terms of like the youth, like how they're engaging with it and so on and so forth?
Yeah, so we opened the YBC thrift store last year, 2023. We've been open for about a year. And so the idea of the store is to extend the program. So not only do the kids work, but you have every customer leaving with digital financial literacy. Yeah. So this gives us an opportunity to service the head of the household, which is the families now, the moms and the dads. And so the impact that we have on the program is every kid in the program gets to go work at the store. We do programs out of the store. And it's a mini complex for us to program out of. We have, our own type of headquarters, I guess you can say. But the impact that we have is you're not only giving those kids an opportunities, but you're giving that family who may be below the poverty line. They want to have nice things, but they may not have the means to travel to the galleries and the more cities to spend that disposable income. So what I do with the store is I do quality over quantity. Most thrift stores have a whole bunch of stuff, right? And for us, our space is newer. It's a smaller space. So how can we fit the best items in there with nothing over $40? Because I was once that kid, growing up, I always wanted the nicer things and the flyer things. And so I know our kids growing up want the nice things. So how do you put them in a position to have that at an affordable price? And so that's what the thrift store is. It's an overall community impact. And it just gives us a sense of ownership when you walk in and see the pictures of all the kids. You get to see the kids actually working. You get to see the kids doing the programs at the store. It allows our investors, donors, and funders and volunteers to see where the value of the program goes. And so I'm very excited about this, about the store. It's new. It's only been open for a year. And the idea is for us to have a staple in every community that needs
like that.
And a franchise model that we want to introduce in 2026.
I like that. And the YBC thrift store, that's in A-Leaf?
Yes, sir. It's in A-Leaf. West Tomer, Dairy Ashford, 12579 Richmond Ave.
Okay, cool, man. I'm on the north side. It'd be like north side on the other side. You gotta bring one to the north side, man.
Sure.
You gotta bring one to the north side for sure. Man, no, I like that. So how many youth do you have that's working like at the thrift store?
We have I have a high school student and I have 2 early college students. I have about 3 now. And then when we do programming, we see anywhere from 10 to 15 kids, per semester. So we have a rotation of about I want to say almost 100 kids that you will see annually throughout the year that come through the program and get opportunities to go work at the store.
Got you, man. I like that. I want to plug you, man. Have you heard of Credible Messengers? Are you familiar with that?
I think I have.
Okay. Yeah, so Credible Messengers are mentors with lived experience, right? Who may have gotten in trouble as a juvenile, who, built themselves up to overcome whatever challenges they faced as a youth or a juvenile, or even a person with just lived experience, maybe even as an adult. So they have reformed. They have reformed themselves so that they won't go back into trouble, and then they go back and mentor youth who are at risk to reduce recidivism. It was a program that was founded, I want to say it was founded in either New York or Washington, D.C.
Wow.
And then recently it has made its way here to Houston. I have a background, right? So as a youth, as a juvenile, I was on probation from 12 to 17, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. So like mentoring youth, at-risk youth is something that's like near and dear to my heart. So what you're doing is like, some very phenomenal work. And I definitely like want to plug you with the Credible Messenger program, here in Houston, man. That's some awesome stuff that you're doing. And I definitely think like more ears need to hear that, and people need to, definitely see that.
Yeah, for sure. We appreciate that.
When you started though, I know a lot of times, like you said, you kind of mentioned it earlier, like, with Pepsi, y'all plan things 5 years out. They had a
Mhm.
5-year plan. When you started in 2017, was the thrift store and all the stuff that you're doing currently like a part of that vision, or it just kind of matriculated into that over time?
Not at all.
Okay.
When we first started in 2017, we were super young. My whole team was like everybody my age, I think
Okay.
18, 19. We was just out there just doing any and everything, man. And so a lot of that stuff I didn't get until I got into my corporate role and I
Mhm.
started to see the retail industry. And I started to really get around nonprofit leaders. When I changed my environment, and the people that was around me and started to place myself in the settings of people that can challenge me academically and professionally, that's when I started to build these ideas out.
Awesome.
But it took me years. It took me years to get there because I was so, arrogant at the time, thinking I got it, I know what I'm doing. And then I realized when I get in the rooms, I don't even know half of what I'm doing. So I had to
Right.
change. And when I changed, I started to see like where do you want to take the program? But ultimately, as a young person, I think you want to do so much
Mhm.
that you put your feet or you put your hands in everything. And then when I started to do that, you started to see things go bad. Investments didn't go
Yeah.
pan out right. And I always resorted back to the organization. So that's how I knew my purpose was there. But I didn't see it all the way in 2017,
Got you.
when I first started.
Got you. And I know recently you said you took that leap of faith to, jump out here and you're doing it full time now.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that correct?
Yeah.
So like what advice would you give to somebody who might be, I don't know, working a 9 to 5, listening to
Mhm.
this podcast right now,
Mhm.
on a lunch break or wherever they may be?
Mhm.
What advice would you give them as in terms of, hey, I'm at a point where I want to quit my job. I want to focus on something long term that I'm more passionate about
Mhm.
than what it is that I'm doing in terms of like working and making a living for myself.
Mhm.
What advice would you give to them?
The advice I would give is if you're willing to walk away, what are you trying to walk into and how is it going to be sustainable? Because a lot of us we walk away with ideas, big ideas, but you don't have a plan, you don't have any infrastructure, and you don't have any proven work experience to
Mhm.
follow that. And so, I look at it like if I'm going to walk away, what is the sustainable method, right? What is going to be something that I can walk into? And so for me, when I walked away is, 3 months after that, I got into the store. And so I always tell people have a plan, but if you're willing to walk away, you have to accept what comes with it. First few years of entrepreneurship, there's probably not going to be any money made. You're not going to turn profit, but you have to grind it out and you have to put in that work. But ultimately, have backup plans in case things are not going out as planned. So if you walk away, maybe you're full time, but you pick up a hybrid opportunity that fits align with your long term career goals. Not only that you're learning, but you're balancing and you can keep the benefits. And so those are some of the things that I had to learn along the way. But you ultimately have to build something sustainable. I see so many people start a business and then they're like, okay, I want to quit. And I was like, okay, what you gonna do? I want to sell stuff online. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's 1,000 of y'all, there's a million of
Right.
y'all, really.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's nothing sustainable about that. But if you're going to quit and walk away, you have to convert from being a hustler to an actual business. And a lot of people don't have that acumen to do that. You have to have something that you're willing to walk into the bank and say, okay, how can I get this invested? Because if you're just online hustling, that's only going to last a few years
Yeah.
before that phases out. And
For
so
sure.
sustainability is my thing. If anybody that's looking to walk away, have a business plan, have something sustainable, but know that it's going to take some time. And then success doesn't happen overnight.
Absolutely, man. Like you said, success don't happen overnight. In the first few years, man, it's tough.
Tough, yeah.
It's tough. It's tough. I've been a full-time entrepreneur now for 5 years now.
5 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
5 years now. So it's been over 5 years, man. And like you said, that those that's for the first few years, you make little to nothing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But thankfully, I had a lot, saved up, so we was
Mhm.
able to like maintain. And then Black Book started becoming more profitable, and then
Mhm.
be able to take care of the bills and all that kind of stuff. So man, no, I definitely appreciate those gems,
For
man.
sure.
Those are
Yeah.
some definitely some solid gems. What success stories can you share with us? From like some of the youth that you've been able to mentor,
Mhm.
what were they like, coming in, and where they at now?
I think we have two good stories. So we had one young lady in 2021 when we did the scholarship giveaway. We were doing to HBCU students, right? We wanted
Okay.
to service more Black kids, and I think she was a sophomore, or junior. I got her application, and I was the first to read it. And when I read it, I said, "Oh yeah, she's gonna be big." So she started a shoe brand, designer shoe brand with women with larger foot sizes.
Okay.
It's called Viola Shoes. I brag about this young lady all the time. It's an honor to meet her. I'm so inspired by her. And I just knew it. And so she won $1,000 from us. We got her, I think, some business coaching at the time. And I just kept up with her on LinkedIn. About a year later, I think she graduated. She got into Forbes. She's been on Essence. She's been on BET, and she's selling at Macy's and DSW now. And for me, just coming across that, it just gave the organization so much inspiration and
That's
hope.
huge, man.
Because not to say we're the reason for her success, but there are kids out there just like her. All they need is somebody just to push them forward. And I mean, a year later, I seen her blow up everywhere. So I'm so honored to know her. She's one of our most successful students that I think has taken the funds and invested into her business, have done major things. But also we have 2 young men that won some money from us this summer. They are building a toothpick. I'm sorry, not a toothpick, a floss with a tongue scraper at the bottom.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they're building this prototype. And my idea and my hope is to get them some major funding, but actually get them a physical product and take it to the market. Those are 2 students that I think have came through the program, taken the program serious, and are really willing to launch this. And I have one young lady, she's a middle schooler. She's been with me since 8th grade. She's in 9th grade now. She's the first student that we actually like hired part-time at the store. And she's now kind of my student experience person. So every time we have a program or we have an event, she's the keynote. She's the person hosting and all of that. And I've seen her confidence grow from being a young girl in middle school to leading all of my programs. She done a keynote in front of our investors. And so these are some of the kids that come through the program, stay with it, but they do some really amazing, dope things.
I love that, man. I love that. And then with the 2 gentlemen with the floss, with the tongue scraper at the bottom, make sure they trademark that. And if they need help with that,
we need some help with that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm gonna shoot you my lawyer information.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. We're gonna get her on that. Yeah. I'm gonna see if we get that taken care of.
For sure. Yeah, they definitely need that.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's dope, man. That's super dope, man.
Yes, sir.
Like,
Appreciate
I'm
it.
loving this. Like, I'm getting excited. My mind is over here going.
Yeah.
If I'm a little quiet, you know what I'm saying? I'm
Yes, I
over here
agree.
thinking like, okay, how are we gonna, help
Yeah.
and propel that thing forward? I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, looking at you, man, 27 years old. I remember back when I was 27. And there was some challenges that, I would have to face being a young man doing such great things. You know what I mean? A lot of times you have old heads who, well, I ain't gonna share my experiences. What are some of the challenges that you face, being so young in the game and then just executing at a high level?
Being in the game young, nonprofit is one of those, like, I wouldn't say it's a good boy club, but it's one of those industries to where it's like you have a lot of senior leaders who necessarily don't want to slide to the side and let the younger generation come up. And you see that a lot. And, I look at it like this. When I first started, it used to bother me so much. I didn't have any emotional intelligence at the time. So I used to get so mad and in my feelings because I would reach out to these black leaders in the city and nobody would really respond or nobody would give me a chance. But you have a few that'll work with you. And so I say, you know what? I can't let that be, I can't let that decide anything. I just got to put in the work, and at some point you'll meet that person at the top. And so I look at it like this: idols become rivals. And so if you go into business thinking, oh, I really want to be like this person, and you're so focused on that, you're never really going to build a lane for yourself because you're so focused on being that person. Be yourself. And so for me, I used to try to chase different networks or try to chase different events and try to be seen by this and that until I started to grow to a point to where it's like, I know where my audience is. I know where my target audience is. I don't necessarily have to go and get the validation that I thought I needed from certain people. That's because I actually put in the work. And so for me, I think the challenge has always been being young. They may look at you and like, you're just a young nonprofit with a lot of hope. But over the years, we built a lot of infrastructure to where not only do you have a young organization, but you have the vendorships to back it. But now we just got with the TEA and we're a new CTS. So there's not much you can say to the program now to say, oh, this is just a young organization. Like, no, we're backed by the highest of the highest. And so I think we're at the point now to where it's all about just growing and being sustainable. But I spent years, not really getting support. And I think still to this day, we're very underrated. But at the end of the day, we got God.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have God and I didn't have that faith in myself and these kids, I wouldn't be here today. And so anybody that's going through that, you're going to struggle, right? You're going to go through a lot of no's. But if you got ultimate belief and you have something that's bigger than self, can't nobody tell you anything.
Man, I love that, man. I love that. And you hit the nail on the head. If you got God, man, none of that other stuff really matters.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Man, you have so much wisdom. You have a lot of wisdom.
Appreciate that.
A lot of wisdom. I like that, man. So what are some challenges that you see that we face in our community in terms of some of the educational practices that we need to overcome as a whole to break some of these generational curses and generational cycles?
Man, that's a deep one. I think education is hard in our community because I learned this from my program director. The demographic that we want to serve, right? These kids want to learn, but they have such a toxic at-home environment, it's hard for them to learn. For example, I had a young lady, she was telling me, like, I can barely focus sometimes because I'm working. I'm going home.
Yeah.
I'm putting in work on a shift.
Yeah.
And I got to go to school, but I'm not learning anything that's going to help me for my future. She said, I feel like I'm at school just to be at school.
Wow.
And so it's very hard for them to engage in the learning because it's not tailored for them. And they also deal with so much at home, so they can only do what they can to get by. And so when you look at it, that's the problem that you see in the education system, right? It's not like I come from public education, right? And so I'm never a person to down it because it made me who I am. But you got some kids who are not equipped to learn in that type of style, and the curriculum and the material can be a bit outdated. And these kids really need to learn life skills because the world is changing, right? You're not going to see so many kids pushing to go to college anymore because they're figuring out different ways to go out and get their own success in different avenues, right? And so how do you give them the life skills that they need? And I think that's the biggest gap. Kids do not feel connected to the curriculum.
Yeah.
And we have to find ways to bridge that gap. And that's what our organization is to do. You know, I don't necessarily want to change education, but I want to partner with the education system to give these kids a better learning experience.
I love it. I love it. So the future, man, we talked about, you know, where you come from in 2017 to the dorm room.
Yeah.
So now you got your thrift store.
Yeah.
Where is Sanders' hand? Where do you see Sanders' hand, I would say, within the next 5 years?
Within the next 5 years, you know, I look at us to have at least a second or third location here in Texas as far as the YBC thrift store. I look for our organization to be embedded into a school district to where kids actually have to go through the program. Kind of like a freshman in high school or in college, you have to take like a life class or something or like that. So that's the goal, right? We want to have it as a requirement class for ninth graders to take, or even seventh graders to take, so they can get those life skills at an essential part of their life. But within the next 3 years, we look to have at least 3 locations and have a statewide program operating full time. And the ultimate goal is to end with a complex, right? I want us to have a complex to where everything is housed into one: the thrift store, the classrooms, the education, where our kids can come and get all of the experience and the parents at the same time. And so that's the ultimate goal we're working towards. In the next 5 to 10 years, I definitely see us having that, if not having more.
Got you. And then you say your program is ages 12 to 25?
12 to 25, yeah.
Okay, cool. But you don't want to work with students younger than that. You like...
The idea is to do students younger than. We're building that out now. It's just with our younger kids, they have to learn a whole lot different. It's very, very, very hands-on. So for us, we're finding different ways to engage them. So we got the Young Billionaires Club flashcards. We're building a Young Billionaires Club online campus right now. You have the Young Billionaires Club chapter book. So exactly what 50 Cent did with Power, and they did a bunch of spinoffs. That's what we're doing with the organization, because we can't service everybody at the same time. So we're spinning off the program to fit all ages.
No, that's cool. Man, I had a school in mind for you. It's a black-owned private school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I definitely want to... I'm telling you, I'm over here working. I'm interviewing you, but my mind is like, who can I connect you with? Yeah. And that's just how Black Book work, you know.
For sure,
create that ecosystem, connect everybody.
Yeah.
Help keep everybody sustainable. With that being said, I know a lot of times in the nonprofit, you know, world, people just think because you're doing all of this amazing work that you just got all of this amazing money and funding. For people who are looking to, you know, donate to your nonprofit organization, how can they do that? How can they find out more about you, your mission, and just how they can support, be a mentor, like whatever?
Yeah. You know, we're always looking for volunteers, donors, sponsors. So please visit our website at www.sandershand.org. You can explore more about the program, fill out the contact form, reach out to us. Our coordinator will follow up with you. And you can donate on the website. You can volunteer. If you're looking to get your kids inside of the program, we actually have a tab that says Become a Young Billionaire, where you can register your kid for our upcoming program. We do have a winter program coming up starting December 3rd. So it's a free program for kids all ages 12 to 25. So we would love to have you. But visit our website. You can follow us on social media at sandershand.org on Facebook and Instagram. You can reach out to us at thesandershand@gmail.com. And you can personally connect with me on Instagram at Sebastian J. Sanders. And we're always looking for partners. I'm very intentional about partnerships, though. We don't just partner with any and everybody. But we would love to you know, learn more about, you know, whoever wants to partner with us. And if you're willing to donate or sponsor, you know, we're always looking for that. Our thing is, it's not more so of a donation, it's an investment into helping Houston youth become financially stable. So if you have the same heart for change, join us in the work that we're doing.
Cool, man. Well, it's been my pleasure having you on Black Book TV. Was there anything else that you wanted to give, like a quick gem or a nugget to anybody that's listening, any advice or anything?
You know, I would say to anybody that's on this journey of defining business, entrepreneurship, find like-minded people, you know, who's willing to connect. You know, I met you guys last year at a random event for entrepreneurs, and we connected instantly, and we've just been working with them since then. And it's all about finding the right people, right? And everything is not going to be monetary, but I think us as Black people, we often look at it like, how do I gain money
Right.
from that, right? Some connections are bigger than money. Some connections will lead to money if you do it
Yeah.
the right way. And so just find the right people to be around. But I always remember become a student of the game first, and then everything else will follow. And so that's kind of my nuggets, on this journey of success. And so anything can happen, long as you believe.
I love it, man. Rich in relationships. I love it. I love it.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's been my pleasure having Mr. Sanders,
Yes, sir.
Sebastian. Appreciate you for coming,
Yeah, thank you for
dropping
having
all of this wisdom. I still can't believe he's 27. I'm gonna check his ID right after this. But nah, man, we appreciate having y'all. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell us what you enjoyed most about this interview. And as always, make sure that you follow us on Black Book Houston on all social media platforms. And until next time on Black Book TV, peace.